It's never been easier to make money, a lot of money, with Bitcoin. And that sounds weird because we're at all-time highs, or close to all-time highs, right? It sounds like that shouldn't be the case. You would say, well, I think it was probably easier to make money with Bitcoin when it was at 15,000 because we're up a lot since then. We're up like 7x. But that's not true. That's not true. You could make a lot of money, but there's also a ton more risk back then. Right now, it's never been easier to get a 50% gain in a couple months. It's never been easier than right now. And I can prove it. If you don't mind, though, hit subscribe so you can see future videos like this. A bit of a different video, not going through the news, just giving you some of my thoughts on what's happening right now, how you can make money fairly easily. Also, if you do want to trade crypto, this video is not saying that it's been like that you should go trade crypto. That's not what I'm getting at in this video. But if you do want to trade crypto, if you want to go use leverage, there are links underneath the video. One is to Weeks. You can start trading. They have some bonuses going on right now. You can get up to $9,000 in USDT depending on how much you trade. And there are also some links like BitUnex gives up to a 20% bonus, and CoinW is giving BTCC is giving a 10% bonus, and you can use up to 400x leverage. 500x leverage, which is insane, but you can use that underneath the video. Now, like I said at the beginning, it's never been easier to make a lot of money in Bitcoin. And by a lot of money, I mean just a very, very healthy return. Now, of course, Bitcoin can go down, right? We saw that recently. It was at all-time highs, then it fell down all the way down to 75,000. Some people thought this market is over, we're going back into a bear market. Since those people went all over Twitter saying that, or went to sell their portfolios, Bitcoin's up 41%. By the time you're watching this, I don't know what it's going to be at. There's a holiday weekend coming up. I don't know if I'm posting this during the holiday weekend, but sometimes there's some volatility around that. It doesn't matter, right? You can see just a massive return recently. And of course, like traditional markets rebounded well, but Bitcoin rebounded much faster than a lot of companies, better than the indices, better than gold. And it just got me thinking, like, Bitcoin has never been more risk off than right now. There's never been more safety for Bitcoin investors. And you could say, well, like, great, this is a 40% return. Who cares about this? I'm in it for 100x returns. Okay, well, that's probably because you're greedy, right? Like, you're going to lose a lot of money doing that. If you look at traditional finance, like a 40% return is unbelievable. That would put you in the best class of investors ever, if you could consistently do that, which Bitcoin has done that. Of course, if you zoom out, right? If you do zoom out and you were buying during the bear market, you could have gotten a much better return than 40%. Like, you'd be up, again, 6x from the bottom or 7x from the bottom. But there's so much more risk back then. Like, if you look at some of the risks, FTX, the second largest crypto company, was collapsing. We were seeing hedge funds and crypto firms go bankrupt left and right. Like, we didn't know how far Bitcoin was going to go. We had gone down 75%, and there were so many people calling for $12,000 or $14,000 Bitcoin. Like, there's so much uncertainty here. Here, there's a lot more safety. Now, there are some things that could go wrong, obviously, but think about what's happened. We've gone from the largest companies in crypto, or like the people with the most pull, being like FTX, Luna, Three Arrows Capital, and Binance, maybe. You know, those companies changing to BlackRock, Fidelity, and governments across the world that have turned more pro-Bitcoin, or MicroStrategy, right? Like, the quality of company that is driving the markets right now has changed dramatically. Binance, sure, it still has a lot of power. They're not really moving the markets much. Sure, they might like contribute to a dump and some like liquidations, some manipulation, but they're not really changing the long-term price of Bitcoin at all right now. BlackRock, Fidelity, the US government, and MicroStrategy are. So many positive things have changed. And I actually went to ChatGPT just to ask, just to remind myself, what were some of the biggest risks that people were thinking about back in 2022 and 2023? FTX bankruptcy. Again, one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, collapsing. There was fraud, mismanagement. The CEO that people felt like was like a godlike figure, or like the tech mogul of the crypto world, was a complete fraud. Luna and UST, $40 billion in value, collapsed over a weekend. And that also caused some different crypto companies to go bankrupt. Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi, bankruptcies all over the place. Again, those were the companies that everyone was talking about that were driving the markets last cycle. If you've ever seen that like meme where there's someone like touching I think it's like touching a bell. They were like climbing up. There's like a chair stacked on a random post and the person's like standing on all of it and it's wiggling, versus like a castle built with stone and then someone just like walks up and rings the bell. Like that's where we're at. We're still getting a big pump, but we're doing it with actual sound fundamentals. So that was one of the biggest concerns. FTX, Luna, Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi, like so many companies, probably half of the major companies went bankrupt. Also, a lot of people were worried about volatility. There's not quite the same volatility that there was back then, which means maybe there's less upside, right? We're not going to go from 69,000 down to 15,000 again over a year. And we're not going to see those percent drawdowns unless we see like a world war or a Great Depression or something like that. There's regulatory uncertainty too. Remember Gary Gensler? Like the SEC was obviously against crypto. There are banking restrictions, deplatforming, like crypto banks getting shut down, global scrutiny, bans in certain countries. There were concerns about Tether and USDC. If you don't remember, like even USDC, one of the more regulated cryptos, got depegged down to 88 cents, and this was like during the bear market after FTX collapse and all that. Like there were still ripples in the crypto world. Interest rates were spiking, and this crushed risk assets like Bitcoin. Fraud, hacks, and scams were on people's minds. Rug pulls, skepticisms over the use case. People were thinking, what's the point of Bitcoin, right? If it's not going to make you money, what's the point? And environmental concerns. Of course, that's what people were pointing out. Bitcoin uses so much energy. Okay. Well, a lot of these concerns have gone away, from environmental concerns to concerns about the biggest companies to concerns about Tether. So many of these have just vanished. So Bitcoin's never been safer in my mind, and there's still a huge upside. Like I said, we had a 40% move just over the last 6 weeks. So if you think the outperformance of Bitcoin has gone, you're wrong. And there's so many more financial products too. Like the whole point of this video is it's never been easier to make money in Bitcoin. It's never been easier to get access to Bitcoin either. Like you don't have to go put money into Coinbase, connect your account, then transfer in $10,000 a day or whatever the max limit is to be able to buy Bitcoin and then withdraw every single day. You can just go into your 401k. Like if you have a solo 401k or your brokerage account, and you can just go buy an IBIT ETF, a FBTC, or MicroStrategy. Like you can buy so many different ways. There are different financial products. You can get yield now if you want through something like MSTY. There's so many different ways that you can do this. It's easier to get access to leverage exchanges too. Like there's just less scrutiny on crypto in general. And I think that this is great for people that are paying attention. To people that aren't, they're going to miss out. Just a fact. There are going to be people that buy this at 500,000 that wish they had bought it at 100 or 80 or 70 or 60 or 50 or 30 or 20 or 10. But yeah, they're going to buy at 500 and they're going to dollar cost average from 500,000 up to 5 million. And right now, there is a growing consensus that Bitcoin is a good thing to buy, but there's going to be volatility. Volatility will decrease. More people will come into this, into Bitcoin over the next 10 years than have come in the past 10 years. There will be more Bitcoin holders 10 years from now, more than double than there are right now. Like more people will have it added to their 401ks, their IRAs, their health savings accounts than ever before. And we're already seeing that with MicroStrategy getting included in the NASDAQ 100, with Coinbase being included in the S&P 500, IBIT, FBTC, those are going to be added to retirement accounts, target date funds, to pensions, to sovereign wealth funds, and that's going to continue to grow. the adoption curve. That's going to continue to force up the price. There's going to be volatility along the way though. And with that volatility, you can get better returns. Like some people were pissed off that we fell down. What was this? We fell down from 109 to 75. People were pissed off, down 32%. Those same people that were pissed off were not buying. They were not buying and they missed out on being able to buy and get a 42% upside. The people that treat this as an investment for the long term continue to outperform and beat everyone in the market. Unless you bought Palantir, unless you bought Palantir or one of the other 2 or 3 companies, Nvidia maybe, over the last 2 or 3 years, you've outperformed everyone if you bought Bitcoin. Just a fact. Or maybe if you went all in Solana, right? Or all in Sui, maybe you outperformed a little bit. But Bitcoin investors have outperformed just about everyone. And I think, like I said, it's never been easier to get a 30-40% gain in Bitcoin when you adjust it for risk. Let me know your thoughts underneath the video. Again, if you want to trade crypto, there's a link to Weeks or to BTCC, Bitunix underneath the video. You can see some of the returns here, 186%, 74%, 54%, 57%. I am down 5% on XRP and then 12% on Sui, but you can just see massive returns. So if you want to trade, there are links underneath the video. Make sure you know what you're doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.